Burt Reynolds? That picture?
No, that There Will Be Blood. That's what's his name's character? Forgotten the actor's name, but
Hey, Josh here.
hey, Josh.
How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
Oh, we'll give it customary 5 minutes, eh?
Hey guys.
Hello?
How's everyone doing?
We are waiting for people to join. I think Caleb is sick from the looks of his Discord status.
Oh. Well, there is something going round.
It's like funny, but not funny.
I know. See, that's the thing with British people. Dark humor is basically where we live, so you know, it's very easy for us.
Look, the first time I was exposed to a pack of cigarettes from the UK, that's when I realized, wow, there's some real dark humor here. Like, how could this be designed and put out there publicly? Wild.
Yeah, the ones in Australia, yeah, those are a trip.
I don't think I've seen those.
Oh yeah, they show it all, man.
Hey guys, I finally actually can hear. So
Hi,
Hello?
Dave. Welcome. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
not a problem. Well, I mean it's more evening for me, but you know, this is a international community, so
Indeed. Right. I'm going to pull up the agenda. Give me a second. We had friends round this morning, and then I was catching up with the Premier League match that happened while I was entertaining, and yeah, it didn't turn out exactly how I wanted, but there you go. Ideally, a draw and all of their top players out injured for the rest of the season would be perfect, but you know that didn't happen. So
That's terrible.
I'm a Liverpool fan. I want all Manchester teams to do badly all the time. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Ahoy. Start off the meeting with our good and bad from the week, usually. Wins and fails, whatever you want to call it. Highs and lows. Highs for me this week. I managed to get some downtime after 5 weeks of madness, getting ready for a conference, which was very nice. And my demo for Mobile World Congress worked. So those were some highs. Some lows. I still find public transit in New York on the buses occasionally frustrating, and I maybe swore out loud once, and would rather not do that in the street. Yeah, that was my week. Anyone is welcome to go next.
Well, I guess I'll go next. Let's see, what was my high? Probably passing all 3 of my finals. That was an achievement for me. So that
Awesome.
felt good.
Oh.
Get that out of the way. Got a nice little 2-week break before my second half semester starts back up. And then low. I had to go back into the office this week. So yeah, dealing with Atlanta traffic. That would be my low.
2 traffic related lows so far. But congratulations on passing your finals, man. That must feel great. How many years work is that?
Oh, too many. Too many.
Anyway, congratulations.
Thank you.
I can go here, highs and lows. Oh, David, unless you want to go.
It's up to you, man. Go for it.
Sure. My highs, my link stats finally shipped. I won't get my hands on them, and I'm interested to see how they perform. And highs last night, it was one of my buddy's birthdays from Canada. I'm in LA right now, and we all went to a Korean karaoke bar till wee hours of this morning, so hence my being a little late today. Lowe's, my producer, who has 2 of my next singles on his hard drive, are the hard drive's still not recovered, as it was my low last week. So we're going to continue that trend this week. Hopefully, it reverses next week.
Oh well, the Korean karaoke sounds pretty good fun. We'll focus on that.
Yeah, it was great.
Good luck with the drives. Jeez.
So just introduce myself. I'm David Peterson with ISP Supplies. New to the community, but long time helper of wireless people, wireless groups. So my high this week would be finding out that apparently crypto and wireless seems to be a match made in heaven. And so I've set a meeting for management on Monday to help bring us deeper into the community and help out as best we can. Lowe's, no one invited me to a Korean karaoke bar.
Below, we can do something about. Thanks, David.
Not a problem. Let me know anytime you guys are going to a Korean karaoke bar. I'm there.
Will do. Will do.
I guess I'll go. So highs for the week. I guess a lot of the things in the lab worked outstandingly. Remember I telling you guys like experiment that was running for like 3 days failed horrendously a couple of weeks back. It has been like pretty nice lately, everything touches turns to gold, so that's pretty good. And loss, actually I think I might have had something like earlier in the week. My throat was scratchy, I was feeling like weak all over the place, but now I'm good, so not all bad.
like when experiments work. Very satisfying,
Beautiful.
especially when they haven't worked. It's even better when they haven't worked before.
I know.
If they work first time, that's great. That's satisfying. It's awesome. You feel like a golden god. But when something hasn't worked and then it works, that's even better. Right. We had Josh, maybe Griff, maybe.
Hey, yeah, sure. This is Josh. I know a few of you on the line, but for those that don't know me, I'm Josh Heller. I'm a Helium network deployer. Been lurking in the Discord, and I'm hoping to help if I can in some ways. And some folks here have already helped me quite a bit, so I'm hoping to contribute. But highs this week, we had our second employee on board, and he was down in Colombia and had a really nice week deploying hotspots in Medellin. So that was really exciting to have another person come on board and not be the person physically installing the hotspots and seeing the network grow in a place that is still new to Helium. Unfortunately, Lowe's, where I was in Reno this week at a commercial property for an installation, and turned out that the general contractor who's remodeling a lot of the building unknowingly demoed AT&T's main line into the building and completely wrecked our plans for installing there. So that wasn't quite as exciting.
Ouch. Yeah, it's unpleasant when they take heavy equipment to thick bundles of cable.
Yeah, it was I think a 600 pair wire. So I was the guy who I'm the person who figured it out because the AT&T tech showed up and was like, "What the hell happened here?" But it's not my company or my building, so it sounds like I don't know. AT&T may be filing a damaged claim against the contractor. You can't, for reference, if you guys didn't know, you can't just tear out AT&T's equipment at your own building.
Yeah, they will file a claim for that, and it will be expensive. Ouch. Oh well, they'll probably get fiber though.
Do it. Not a good idea, but you could do it.
Yeah. All right. Got left. Anyone else want to go, or should we kick off? All right. Agenda. Agenda has us talking about things that have been going on in the shipyards, activities, which is always fun because that's what we're here for. We passed the proposal to create our growth and community ship, which essentially is the team that looks after Discord, forums, pirateradioDAO.com. Is doing all that sort of communication with the existing community, and will be responsible for growing it, handling things like PR and marketing, which is becoming more of a requirement. So really just formalizing something that was starting to exist anyway. I've created and shared in the agenda, it's linked in the agenda, a Notion doc, and I'll just screen share that. I've just summarized in there from the original proposal what the responsibilities of the group is, decision-making power, some of the existing crew, because we're all working on bits of the Discord, whether that be moderating, running the Discourse server, or whatever it might be, editing documents in the pirateradioDAO.com WordPress. So these folks are already on that team. And then looking at breaking down our activities into daily, weekly. I haven't got as far as monthly yet. But daily things, community engagement, just the things that we would try and do every day just to keep our community flywheel going. It's difficult sometimes, when you're focused on writing documents and looking at proposals and editing and all that kind of thing, to remember to also be active on Twitter and be active in the Discord. And I hold my hands up and say that, I often am very bad at multitasking. So breaking down these tasks so that we can then look at what roles are needed, and then we can reach out to the community and say, you know, these are the things that we need help with, and, you know, give them sort of easy things that they can pick up and say, yeah, I can do that. And we'll use probably D-Work to manage that. And in terms of compensation, obviously right now everything's TBD until we do some of the financial stuff. But I think if we do it in D-Work, we're at least tracking the work, and we can maybe associate time to it. I think I'll make an effort to associate time to any of these activities that people carry out, and then we can at least look at what people have, you know, materially contributed to the ship when the time comes that we have a better system for compensation. That's what I have right now. Any questions at the moment?
Mind I weigh in as a vendor real quick?
No, absolutely. Please do.
So the one thing that I've done with my company is that we're here to help, and anyone who is in the industry, part of a DAO, will get an actual wireless ISP discount on any products from our website. So just hit me up, let me know if you're buying from us, or if you need any other assistance, technical support, that sort of thing. I'm here to help. That's
awesome. Thank you so much, David. We'll we should probably formalize that offline, and we'll because I know with TK wants to do some stuff like that as well with IoT off grid, so we can we need to sort of, one of the things we're doing is formalizing how we engage with commercial partners, because it's an early easy win for the community to put those things together. So yeah, let's definitely talk more about that. Something we've been discussing in the main council. So yeah, we'll definitely talk more about that.
All right, let me know what you need. I'm here to help.
Awesome. Any other questions on the growth and community side, or any volunteers who want to join the crew and help with social and community management? Open to anyone. It's not just council members, the entire community. If anyone wants to contribute, it's going to be open. Also goes for people watching this, the recorded version down the line. Hop in the Discord, and there'll be ways for you to indicate that you can help. And we'll be reaching out to people who've tagged themselves in the Discord with anything related to this kind of work. So if you've tagged yourself with PR and marketing, we'll be reaching out to you soon.
And from a technical standpoint, anyone in the community, hit me up. Like I said, willing to help.
All right. Mining pools. Oh no, Discord channel structure. Keith, you've been working on that a bit, right? And Griff?
Actually, it's been Caleb, but I think he might be sick. He's text only for the call today. But yeah, I will speak to it as much as I can. I was hoping to get with Caleb before this, but circumstances. So I'll just kind of go through what he put together and speak to it best I can, and then kind of talk through a couple of the suggested changes that I had intended to talk through with Caleb first. I just don't like stepping on toes, but let me share my screen. Everybody see that?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so essentially the idea, so this is our current structure right now, and it's confusing because things are kind of they're growing, and you know, as like we get more ships and voyages, it gets more and more confusing with applying correct permissions and things like that. So so we want to support that growth. So essentially what Caleb is proposing is sort of trickle down permissions. So we'd have like an open permission where anybody can see those specific channels. They'd have like an everyone tag essentially. You'd have a crew permission, so anyone with a crew tag could see certain channels. Shipwright would be anybody who's working on a specific in a specific voyage on a specific ship would have that, and it would give them permissions to write to the shipyards, and then same with voyages. So just to kind of skip to where I got to, 98% of this was Caleb, just to be clear. But my thoughts were we can simplify even a little bit further than what Caleb had suggested, which is a little bit cleaner version of the original. So we could basically have like these 3 primary channels. So you can think about it as the Pirate Radio DAO, voyages, and shipyards. So those are like the primary functions, right? So we've got the DAO itself, and so the DAO itself, anything in that channel, that's like your community. It's the whole community. So general is kind of where that chat would end up being. You've got your Parlay text and voice for any kind of voice meetup where you can use for that. So not much changes except for where those things are. So those are the 3 primary channels, and then you've also got this admin and information and help. So information and help is just exactly what it sounds. It's where you first come, the welcome and rules, announcements, introductions, and then admin would be for like server administrators, basically anybody who needs admin access to help manage the community. So the permissions, the way it works is anything in yellow, anything highlighted in yellow, anyone who joins Pirate Radio DAO Discord can see immediately. So it's very small. There's basically 3 things that they can see. Anything in orange, all members with crew would be able to view that. So essentially, now you can imagine anything in orange, so Pirate Radio DAO, the council chat, voyages, directory applications, they can see all of that. And then they can also see everything in green and write to anything in green. So that is everything here. So they can, once they get past that welcome and rules, they announce themselves, they can now see and write to anything in green, which is like the general chat, the basic areas. So to give an example of what this would look like, I wrote up this this example. So let's say a community member wants to join Pirate Radio DAO. So they join the Discord, and then they want to join the voyage to create. So they see the directory.
Hang on.
We good?
I think you're good. Right. Gary's muted himself.
Oh, got it. So they join the Discord, and then they want to join a voyage. Like they find out they want to join the voyage. So essentially, what it would look like is they join, they get the everyone tag, they react to the rules, and that gives them a crew tag. So now everyone who has reacted to sort of agree to the Pirate Radio DAO terms of existing in our community is able to be a member of the crew. So let's just quickly look at what they would have access to. So crew would be they can read and write anything in green, or I'm sorry, anything in orange. They can view anything in yellow. They can view anything in green. They can write. So essentially all of this, as a new member, once you've reacted, you can read and write. All of this, as a new member, you can read and write, and you can access and view all of this as well. The only thing is that all the things that are in orange you can only view. So you can go in here and look at the directory, but you can't write to anything in here because you don't have access, right? So you only have access to the channels that are in green. So let's say you find a voyage in the directory that you really like, you want to join it, you react to it, the instructions are there on how to react. That auto applies the shipwright permission. So now you can write as well as view these voyages. And so that's essentially your permission to join in and be a part of the conversation. We have this applications piece in here too, sort of like apply to be a part of the voyage. So I think where this would come in handy is if like I think anybody should be able to read and write in here. We can easily kick somebody out if they're like disruptive, you know, if it's causing a problem with work getting done. But as far as the general voyage channel, these should be pretty open for anybody who wants to be a part of that conversation to help kind of designing the direction or next steps of that voyage. Because the details are going to get worked out in the shipyard anyway. So the shipyard, these would be hidden by default. And once you've joined a voyage, the exception would be council. So council could see anything in blue, which would be hidden to the rest of the community. So there's not very many things. In fact, in this version, I opened up council chat and mothership chat for viewing permission, but not for writing permissions. You know, I realize that would be something that we'd probably want to discuss, but this was the option that I was working on most recently versus the option that would continue to have those sections sort of closed off by default. So here you can see the voyages and the shipyards would be sort of hidden by default. So I know it's a lot to take in, but you can read through it. It's still a work in progress, but the general idea is that we could easily have people sort of self-assigning whether or not they want to work on a particular voyage without really having to do much to make that happen. And we can control it, you know, because the question might be, well, doesn't it get out of hand if it's just open and anybody can read and write? You know, isn't that going to be a problem? It might be, but I think for now we could leave it open. And if somebody is causing a problem, like it's a disruption, we could, you know, kick them from that channel like any other channel. And then in the shipyards themselves, that's where the real detailed work is getting done once you're a part of that voyage, once you've applied to be a part of that voyage and you're able to get, like, I don't know, compensated for being a part of it. Then you're in the actual shipyard, you're working on that specific ship. And those channels are much more limited and are hidden by default until you're approved. So I think that's the gist of it. What questions?
I'm pretty happy with it, to be honest.
Okay.
Works for me. I mean, we could always modify it, right?
For sure. And I think it will continue to, like I said, I actually felt bad even presenting this just because I'm like, yeah, this is like option 3 that I had kind of worked through without Caleb, knowing that Caleb put in a ton of the work and I was just wanting to contribute and kind of continue working at it. And it looked like he may have gotten sick. So I continued to work at it. And this is kind of where it ended up. But I think it does make sense in terms of clarity, in terms of ease as people join the community. Like your first step is you see Pirate Radio DAO General, you know exactly where the main chat is happening, right?
Mhm.
And you see a directory under voyages. That's just, oh, whoa, what's this? This is cool. What's a voyage? And it explains exactly how to get involved with a voyage, along with a list of all the voyages, easy reaction system to be able to gain access to working in that voyage. And so I think there's a lot of benefits to it, and it will help us grow. That there is a downside in that it's a lot of permission management as the number of ships and sub DAOs grow. It could get messy at some point down the line, but I think for now, I think it is good enough.
Yeah, I think, you know, as we've discussed before, certain voyages and things are going to disappear off and have their big discussions. You know, if they get to a certain size, they'll disappear off into their own Discord, and it'll just be whatever interaction they have with the main DAO in here.
Hmm.
You know, it's yeah, we've got to proactively manage it as we grow. So this is great, and we want an influx of new people to arrive. So it's important that we do this now. So yeah, thanks to everyone who's put in work on this, and yeah, growth and community ship get to decide on this, and we'll, I think we can go ahead and put that into place over the next week. No
Awesome.
reason not to.
Cool.
Aren't any
Screen sharing, not bad.
Right. Any other questions on Discord? Anything to do with it at the minute? Oh, excuse me.
Or even suggestions as well, especially as we grow the community. If you've got specific experience in that area, to where ways to prevent potential pitfalls, as we kind of design this thing, jump in, please.
Yeah.
Can we add a tab for our socials as they grow, like for the Pirate Radio DAO socials for Instagram and Twitter and any other platform?
For show, smart. Where do we think it should be? Maybe information and help, or we want it more prominent, like Pirate Radio DAO?
They're usually integrated in their own channels, aren't they? Like there's a social channel and it reposts. It just shares links to posts that have been
links. I think it's yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Got it. So it's its own.
Like a bot channel, I think.
Yep.
I've seen it in places.
And that would be public for everybody, essentially, to be able to see the different social streams that are happening.
Yeah, it's unannounced. There's no, just be emoji reactions, no replies.
Got it.
Added that to the notes.
Hey guys, sorry I'm joining late. I'm in transit at the airport right now, and I wasn't on mute when I first jumped on, so apologies.
No worries, Gary. All right. What's next? I think it's mining pools next. This is the cool stuff. I'll let TK and Keith take this. Away you go, fellas.
Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, you guys can see this?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So basically what you guys are looking at right now is, okay, so basically what you guys are looking at here right now is the version 1 of the distributed community mining architecture. So just to give everyone like a little background on this, so one of the key reasons for Pirate Radio DAO is we know like the decentralized wireless sphere is like expanding. Okay, we first have helium, and plus there's more newer companies coming into the play. But as with the rapid growth, there's always going to be issues. One of the key issues is oversaturation of the hotspots in like certain parts of the country, and in that particular area the rewards dips down significantly. At the same time, if we want to expand the coverage further, we do have certain regions in the country that do not have the financial support to procure these hotspots and deploy them. Like one of the key things that I would like to refer to is the article Jeremy wrote for the pirate about pirate radio concept, and there he highlighted how places in Chicago, Detroit, like these low income areas, they doesn't have helium hotspots. Why? Because they are low income areas. So there's like these disparities that emerge in in one area we have this high saturation that is actually hurting the network. At the same time, then at another area there's low saturation that is not helping and not getting the coverage as expansive as it can be. So one of the solutions that we can come up with that is mining pools. So here what happens is people who wants to get involved through the community driven mining pools, and we basically source locations. We get people's contributions for hotspots. We get those hotspots to those locations and deploy the pool, and all the rewards come in from the hotspots get collected to the community pool wallets, and then they get distributed evenly for the entities participating in this. So this is a complex problem to solve. This is not something simple. So one of the biggest hurdles for this was lack of a good cross-platform multi-sig wallet. Because when people have their hotspots that they want to contribute to the mining pool, it's kind of hard to tell us to tell them, oh, transfer your hotspots to our wallet, and then you can be part of the mining pool. Why now? People would be like, oh, how can I trust you guys? And at the same time, but we can't trust people to out of the goodness of their heart make sure when we get their hotspots to a good location, that they would pay out the rewards that their hotspot is earning. Once again, you see, in both ends of the spectrum you have these trust issues. So this would get solved if we have a good compatible multi-sig wallet, but at this moment the technology is not there. People are working on it, but we kind of need to think of a different way how we can set up this. We can't just wait for that technical hurdle to be achieved. We should first figure out some other means of setting this up. So this is our solution for that. So what we are basically utilizing is we are leveraging on the emergence of the light hotspots, which are cheaper in price and they are easier to deploy, and the amount of data consumption is significantly less than a conventional hotspot. So as you can see here, so this is how the architecture is. So basically what we plan is we propose a sub DAO under Pirate Radio DAO for a local LoRaWAN mining pool. So these things will be local, so Pirate Radio DAO is not going to have one large mining pool stretching all across the world. No, that is unrealistic. No one can practically do that. So what we are doing is we decentralize these pools further to grassroots level. So for example, let's say North Bergen area. So I live in New Jersey, so North Bergen County. So we have a mining pool for North Bergen area. So people in North Bergen area is participating in that, and you have this local aspect. You can easily get things deployed and get the logistics done much more simply. So that's the first part. So the pools will be local. And here, the Pirate Radio DAO pool operator. So this is basically in that local, that geography, that's the sub DAO that is basically overseeing this local mining pool. So what they do is basically they actually interact with the light hotspot stakeholders, location stakeholders, installation and maintenance stakeholders, and then accessories stakeholders. So all these entities that are involved with the LoRaWAN mining pool, it's the Pirate Radio DAO pool operator. That's the one who's interacting. Now, though it says pool operator, this is not one person. This is a group that get voted on, that is coming from the community and people who are local, so they know the lay of the land, so not someone from freaking where Germany is calling shots on some mining pool in Southern California. No, that doesn't make sense. You need to have local people involved with it in order to get these things to work properly. So this pool operator is coming from that. They can be voted on. Whoever who wants to start, let's say someone wants to start a regional mining pool, they will be like, oh, I want to start a regional mining pool in this area, and they basically put in a proposal, and then we started bringing together the team from the local thing, and we vote on it and set that up. Now one interesting thing, so for the initial mining pools, what we are going to do is, I mentioned earlier, we are going to use the light hotspots. So the way we plan to do this is, first, since light hotspots are cheap, we're gonna negotiate these light hotspot purchasing directly from the manufacturers. We're gonna negotiate that. We're gonna get the pricing. We're gonna get the appropriate lead times for these hotspots. And then what we do is, once we get all these details clearly, and we see a proper roadmap for that, we are going to offer light hotspot tokens. So let's say someone wants to participate in this mining pool. What they're going to do is, they're going to purchase a light hotspot token through Pirate Radio DAO. That is the value of the light hotspot. Now, there are several advantages of that. One advantage, earlier I mentioned the issue of how to make sure the rewards are going to go into a secure wallet and then they get dispersed properly. Since we are purchasing the light hotspots in bulk, we can securely have them onboarded onto these pools that are controlled by Pirate Radio DAO. But at the same time, the people who actually purchasing the light hotspot token, they actually have the token that actually guarantees them through a smart contract that they are taking a light hotspot onto this particular mining pool. And like here, you see here, light token purchase, and then the pool operator, they provide them with light hotspot token to them. The same time, people who want to let's say is take their location, they can actually do the same thing. They say, this is my location, this is the proof I live here and I have the legal authority to put a hotspot here. And what we do is, we verify those things through the pool operator. That's what pool operator does. Pool operator plays an important part because they verify these locations and then say, okay, your location checks out, here's a placeholder token for you, saying that you have pledged to stake your location. Once we deploy a hotspot at that location, we provide him with the token. And same way for the installer, we have a token. And people who doesn't there's we need to think of ways anyone can get involved. So for example, someone might not have $200 to get a light hotspot, but it's okay. Maybe they can actually join the pool by purchasing like a $50 antenna. So that's what we are doing with this accessory stakeholder, basically allowing people to even do a smaller contribution and still be part of the mining pool. So that way it becomes more inclusive to anyone, and there's no gatekeeping, so to speak. So there are several important things about this token based pools. One thing is, this token based pool, basically when they get the token, they are minting this token to a particular wallet. We can mention, oh, whatever the platform that we are going to use, we can say we are using this platform, so you need to have this kind of a wallet, maybe Phantom, MetaMask, whatever that will work with our platform of selection. Then when they mint the token, they mint it onto their wallet, and effectively we can use that token now to disperse rewards as well. So we don't need to have them give up a private key or something like that. We use that token to basically facilitate transfer of all their rewards at the end of whatever reward cycle. So that way the token mechanism becomes a clever way to make sure where we designate everyone's contribution into the pool. At the same time, we use the token to disperse the rewards out. The third use of the token is this LoRa local pool governance. Let's say there's some impasse. There needs to be make a important decision regarding the local mining pool. Pirate Radio DAO pool operator can set up the vote, and basically everyone who has tokens can use their tokens in the governance, casting their vote, and basically people participating in the pool can make the governance instead of someone somewhere else So that way we kind of make this whole system very democratic, and everyone who is going to get impacted by this has a say in it. So that way it is like much more easier to govern over long term. So that's the use of using tokens and setting this overall thing up. So if I talk about the logistics of it, so as I mentioned before, we have the pool operator. Pool operator gets facilitate the token purchase, accessories purchase, and issuance of the tokens. And then the pool operator, with the help of Pirate Radio DAO, can do the deployment, procurement of deployment accessories, light hotspots from the manufacturers. One important advantage we will get rather than individual is, since we are a collective, we can actually negotiate better pricing, and we can negotiate better logistics on these things. So it wouldn't be like one person who wanted to get a hotspot. Once they get a hotspot, they don't have to be in the mercy of the manufacturers. Why? We are a group. So our power in collective, we can press manufacturers to adhere to their agreed upon lead times. So that way, basically people who are contributing into this pool ends up getting that added level of guarantee that things would actually get properly, since we will be dealing with B2B level with the manufacturers. And another thing is, when it comes to deployment of these light hotspots, basically we have to work with two entities. One, location stakeholder, and second person, installer. So the installer, once again, people from the community in that local area can come and commit their expertise as installers. We can verify them, and afterward what happens is, we can send the hotspot directly to the location. If the location stakeholder says, oh, I don't need an installer, I can do it myself, good, you can do it yourself. We pool operator will monitor to see, make sure everything is good. At the end of the deployment, location stakeholder can send a picture and validate, oh, everything is up. And on the other end, pool operator can verify from the Helium Explorer or API, everything is good with the deployment. Let's say the location host can't deploy it, then the installer comes in. Installer goes there, they set up everything, and for that, what we are thinking right now is, there's a small fee associated with it. Okay, so we haven't decided the fee. A small fee associated with it, like, I'm thinking, this is my personal opinion. Okay, I'm thinking something like like $100. Let's say location stakeholder wants to put his hotspot way up high, but they don't want to do it because they don't have the ability. So they say, oh, I want an installer. So installer come, location stakeholder contribute that $100 to that. Now the thing is, initially when the location stakeholder contributes that, now $100 for install like that, that's a pretty cheap price, right? You can't really find someone to install a Helium hotspot for that price. So in order to compensate the installer, we can actually give them a token that have a diminishing value over time. So what happens is, initially they might get 10% of the pool rewards, but next month they will get 9%, next month 8%. So it goes down. Why? Because it wouldn't make sense for an installer to continuously benefit from one install that they did 2 years ago. It makes more sense if they get some rewards from that install, but it diminishes over time. And since the location stakeholder was proactive, that he wanted to do that, that diminishing rewards, it goes back to the location stakeholder. Why? He paid the $100, right? He took a hit up front. So since you took a hit front, the whatever the diminishing reward that installer is losing, that diminishing reward goes to the location stakeholder. That's a little bit complicated, I understand, but it should work in theory pretty well, keeping everyone happy. So that's the overall logistics of getting these light hotspots deployed. Other than that, all the rewards from the light hotspots goes into pool wallets. Now, this is not one single wallet. There will be several wallets for security reasons. Why? If we keep everything in one single wallet, if there is some compromise, we lose all of the crypto. So in order to make it secure, it's better to have multiple wallets, and all wallets with multi-sig property, where any transfer of funds has to be authenticated by more than one person. So that way, not one single person has the control over it. So Keith and I, we have been talking about this. We are going to look at some of the existing models that are available for these kind of wallets, and present some of them in coming weeks. So beyond that, from these wallets, pool operator can disperse pool rewards for the light hotspot stakeholder, accessory stakeholder, location stakeholder, and installers. And finally, pool operator themselves get pool rewards. Why? They are maintaining this. So there's a percentage of rewards that they get as the collective that is maintaining all this. Beyond that, there are allocations. One allocation is legal and accounting. Since these are local pools, the best legal framework that makes sense to this is a local LLC type legal framework. So the pool in itself is a LLC under Higher Pirate Radio DAO. So under LLC, they have the legal protection from liability for the individuals who are involved with it. At the same time, they have the flexibility in order to carry out these business transactions. And since it is local, why we are doing local pools, they do not have to worry about making some very sophisticated legal framework that's going to deal with across state lines or across country lines. So make things simple in the legal. So in order to get those things sorted out, there will be legal and accounting that the pool operator will make allocations to make sure that side is good. Then we have Pirate Radio Mothership and Pirate Radio DAO that they are going to make allocations to in order to providing higher level support. Now, especially this Pirate Radio DAO thing. So this one I put here as it's basically now there will be multiple opportunities that comes in these local pools. So for example, now the key source of revenue will be these mining rewards from light hotspots. But there's another source of revenue that not many people are thinking of. One is we have this local network from this local mining pool. We have this collective of people in Pirate Radio DAO who are working with IoT use cases and things like that. So what we can do is not only mining rewards, we can actually have ship rights for voyages where we establish IoT solutions for these local areas. So for example, let's say North Bergen Bergen County. In Bergen County, we have a mining pool, and the Bergen County municipalities, they would want some form of a system to monitor their areas of flooding. Let's say we actually set up a ship and a voyage to make a IoT solution with flood sensors to early detect flooding points and inform municipalities these areas are areas that's going to flood. So these are things these kind of municipalities want information on, and they will pay for those kind of information. So not only we can actually get a revenue from mining, setting up these kind of local grassroots networks, we can actually make these IoT application ship rights that will bring in more rewards onto the pool. So the pool will not only get benefited from the proof of coverage rewards, but it also get benefited from the IoT applications they end up deploying in this area. So that's where this thing comes in. Why? The pool will fund those kind of ship rights to have people who have oh, I know this count this borough is looking to get a company that can actually have this kind of a IoT solution. Why don't we start looking into it? Why don't we talk with some people and come up with some proposals. So to fund things like that, this is here, because it might be a small share that we are spending on that, but that small share will end up becoming a huge thing as far as rewards, and also it improves the IoT applications, which is something everyone wants. So that's like a secondary source of revenue that we are hoping for this kind of a model. So finally, just to mention the overall DAO architecture of the mining pool, we first have the Pirate Radio DAO, which is the top level. And under that, we will have sub DAOs, and local mining pools will end up becoming a sub DAO. So in this local mining pool, like I mentioned before, we have the pool operator, which is bounded to the sub DAO through smart contracts. Then we have pool wallets, which are bounded to sub DAO through smart contracts. Ownership of the pool wallet is held by the pool operator, who are locals. And then this pool operator will have interactions with these four main entities that are part of this pool. So they will issue tokens, provide pool rewards, and facilitate governance. And besides that, light hotspot stakeholders and accessory stakeholders will purchase tokens from the pool operator. And pool operator will do allocations for legal and accounting, and all the rewards will be dispersed through the pool operators, I would say, consent. Then any rewards that is actually going back to the Pirate Radio DAO, those will be made as allocations by the pool operator. So this dotted orange line, it actually shows the domain of the regional pool. So that's the scope of the regional pool, and this is like the overall ecosystem regional pools will exist. So I know this is a lot of information. I know it is very complex, but that's the gist of it. Does anyone have any questions on this?
I just want to throw in a couple of extra points too. Great job, by the way. It's a lot to present, but essentially the goal as well for those pool wallets. You see that the box in green with the wallets in it. We want that essentially to not be controlled by anybody. So essentially, it would be a smart tract or a smart contract. So in other words, if let's say somebody said, Pirate Radio, you have to give us all your assets. We say, okay, well, this is what we have, but we wouldn't have control over any of the wallets, for example. Those would all be locked up in smart contracts that are controlled by whatever protocol we build, essentially. So that would be how the wallets are protected. And then there is the other additional piece, which I don't think everyone on here heard kind of how we would accomplish it, but essentially going from Helium to a locked multi-sig wallet, like how is that even possible? It's going to be that local pool operator who literally takes those keys and sets up a wallet, like literally locally, that ends up getting tied up into the smart contract. So that's kind of how we're doing that, accomplishing that piece. But the idea is that fully decentralized, no single owner, even this pool operator is abstracted idea, but nobody's the owner as the pool operator. You're simply facilitating. You're making sure that everything is going well. You're reporting issues, things like that. But on a functional side, you're really just facilitating, making sure that the transactions are happening. You're the local person on the ground who can validate that the wallet is set up correctly and everything's working.
Question:
Mm-hmm.
Can people sell their tokens
Yes.
in the mining pool on the open
Yes.
market?
Mm-hmm.
We've
So
created a tradable security.
yes, I know it sounds weird, but so there are several things we can do if people are like concerned about it initially. So for the test pool, um, I personally do not want to have this tokens tradable for the test pools. Test pool is initially we want to actually establish this mining pool methodology with 50 light hotspots to test out this thing. So for that one, I do not want the tokens to be tradable, because we are just trying to see what are the main things that we have to first logistically address. Then afterward, maybe at the late stage, we can make it open to tradable. However, I don't see a reason that we should restrict for the larger pools that they can't be tradable. Is there anyone who says a reason why they shouldn't be tradable?
I I
Well,
never
right?
intended them to be. I don't think they need to be. Essentially, the token is literally just a representation of your asset that you're pooling, that you're letting us use. And then
Yeah,
when we pay you out, we're paying you a lease fee for that asset. So to me, that is the solution to like a tradable security. We don't really want to be in those waters. So I was trying to intentionally stay away from that.
yeah. That,
Through
that that was the reason for my question. If it's a tradable security, we are then regulated by the SEC, which we do not want. So it has to be a non-tradable token, and it
Mhm.
has to be, as far as I'm aware, from what I've read, and this is why we're talking to lawyers, you have to be able to rage quit. So it has to be like an investment club. You have to be able to get. So if you've paid $50 to get
Mm,
you've paid for an accessory token, and
mm,
you've maybe earned $20 in mining fee. You have to be able
mm,
to go. I want my $70 back right now, please, and take it and go.
That's right.
And if you don't have that ability to cash out,
mm,
that then becomes more than an investment club, and then you are subject to Securities and Exchange Commission.
mm,
So that's as far as I know, and my very limited understanding of the space, how people in DAOs are getting around this investing in stuff. Because, it's the same thing when you're investing in a piece of art, right? They're like, oh, well, you can trade that token. Yeah, but it's just a token that represents a share of the art. It's not like if the value of the art goes up, the token goes up, but it's not tradable in itself. You can cash out whenever you want. That's how they're doing it, as far as I know. But if you trade it individually, then that's a security, especially because
mhm,
there's lots of income being generated from it. Because that's the other thing we have to be careful of, right? It's like if you make
mm,
it tradable, you then can say, okay, well, I'm going to sell my tokens in this pool. Someone's going to buy them and pay me a premium to get the revenue, which is going to be X amount over the next 3 years, right? Like if there's passive income being generated from that asset, the token, then you're in double jeopardy then.
mm.
As far as I know, like I say, not a lawyer,
Yeah,
not
no, in that case, definitely. Then, yeah, we have to make the token basically So, in order to prevent this, now, other than just saying that the token is non-tradable,
Mhm.
is do we have to do a mechanism to look it to the wallet that it is minted onto?
I don't think so.
No.
And
Okay.
I think some of those details are, at least in my mind, what I think we can work out in the actual um, project phase, like as we
Yeah.
start developing this MVP, because part of that
Mm,
plan is also to to get some legal perspective.
yeah.
So we'll find some firm that my intention is to find a firm that specializes in this area and is reputable with a good backing and get advice. And then once we know for sure that okay, we can steer clear of that, then we'll be good to launch it. So like the idea here is that this model that was just presented, this is kind of what we're aiming for,
Mm-hmm.
and a general outline of kind of okay, is it possible, is it feasible, okay, this is what we want to show everybody so we can say like okay, there is a possible way to do this as a plan. Obviously there's a lot of kinks that we're going to have to work out, and we want to steer clear of any legal ramifications with the SEC as well. Obviously, none of us want to be in that area, but so the next step then is to say, okay, if everyone is comfortable with this, is excited about it, we will dive in as the ship, I guess, in the shipyards. Whoever wants to join in and jump in that channel, we get everyone working on this, like literally fleshing out all of the details down to technical needs, etc. What can we do to create our minimally viable version, which so far we've settled on 50 as the number of locations. We could collect locations, hosts, all that manually. Like it doesn't have to be all automated, doesn't have to be the perfect system like what we are trying to build. But we're going to try to build that minimally viable version. So as we like work through the details in the planning process, we should be able to get a version of this running, and we'll go through that process of making sure that as we design it, we're designing it in a way that does adhere to any kind of local legal regulations. That also brings up the other concern, which is that we are a global community, right? And I know from my perspective, I'm always thinking locally, and I know most of us kind of naturally do that, right? Like we're thinking about in terms of regulation in our own area. And so when we do design this, having the perspective from various geographical areas, people with those kind of expertise is going to be very helpful also.
Yeah, I would say the one thing that, the things to keep in mind in what we're doing is don't get caught in the fundamentals of, oh, this much is this share. It's $200 to buy a light hotspot. It's this much, it's $50 to buy. It's like those things should be composable. Right? So our job is to create the scaffold, and people should be able to go, okay, well, I'm going to start my pool in Bristol in the UK, and I'm going to charge 100. I'm going to give the installer $150.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give the location 50%, and I'm going to give the person who bought the hotspot 10. And I'm just going to change these sliders around, and people can join or not join, up to them, right? What we have to build is something that is composable, zero trust, right? That's our part. And then people can just pick it up, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. That's the minimum viable, goal. Is like, yes, we have to have a working example, but the goal is like, yes, if you want to recreate this, you recreate it in the image you want it to be created in. And maybe at first you can only alter 3 variables or 2, but in time you can perhaps alter more, right? But the goal is to have something that people can replicate and scale.
If I could offer something from the distribution side of things, I get the entire buyer club sort of scenario. Bulk scale purchasing and distribution is kind of what we do. If you guys want to sit down with you, if we could get your team, the people that are driving this, sit down and talk about us possibly being a distributor for you at a set percentage sort of scenario. We have warehouses in Canada and the US, 4 in the US. So let's sit down and talk how to help you guys scale.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you,
Yeah,
David.
that's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, this is building something that individual operators would not be able to create themselves, that they can then take advantage of as a community, versus having to create their own company and raise their own money. And this is empowering someone on the street who's got the idea and the drive to go do it themselves, but without having to go through all that heartache, right? So that's our end sort of story, if you like, as many people doing that as possible. It is amazing work. Thank you, everyone. That is, when I wrote the original document, this is pretty much the exact kind of thing I had in my head of it would end up getting towards. So to see it happen is pretty cool. So thank you, TK and Keith, for all the work you've put into that, and everyone else who's contributed in the channels over the past few months, because this is the result of a lot of people talking in the Discord and sharing ideas. Yeah, it's awesome. Anyone got any questions, thoughts?
The 50 locations that was just referenced, I missed. What was that for the test?
Yes.
Okay.
So that is, yeah, basically going to be our first test pool. So 50 is like, so the reason why 50,
Gotcha. Thank you.
yeah, is like, it is a small enough number that we can easily manage. At the same time, it's a large enough number that we can analyze, like, trends, how the, like, compared to the network average rewards, how much more we can actually, like, generate, because that's going to be an important, like, real world factor for people to like show, or you see, these are the metrics of our pools compared to the network average. So 50 would give us, like, overall good understanding how it will pay out. So right now, like, I have something very tentative. Okay, these dates are literally pulled out of somewhere. So this is like, a rough roadmap. Like, we are right here, this first place. So basically, the first, like, the next thing is like, we have to, like, we gonna let community, like, give us feedback on this, like, so all these figures and stuff we gonna put to our forum. There's already a link up in forum, so we can, like, populate more with these flow diagrams of the architecture and the DAO structure. So we're gonna have, like, the community give us feedback on this to see what else they think. Maybe there's a entity we miss. Maybe there's another aspect that we can use to streamline it better. So to, like, basically get all the feedback we can and further reinforce it. So for example, the tradable token thing, like, that's not something that crossed my mind that we will be coming into SCC territory with that. So it's stuff like that. So we're gonna get more feedback and make this more wholesome. Afterwards, we have to make a proposal for this and set it to Pirate Radio DAO to get it approval. So we'll uh, make the final, like, draft of this and put it to vote and get it approved. And afterwards, so now the actual legwork begins. So the first thing would be test pool location selection. So we kind of have to, like, talk with the community and see who are the people who are willing to, like, participate in something like this. So for this one, what we are basically looking for is for the test pool, establish, like, members in the community who has the reach to, like, set up, like, hotspots at, like, different host locations, people who have the ability to, like, put some extra work to set up this local pool. So that's the thing. So we need to see who will be, like, willing to, like, help with this initial testing pooling test pool stage, and based on that we select appropriate location. And afterwards we can start, like, taking in location staking and installer contacts. So just, like, put out a web link out there for people in that particular area to say, oh, my house, I think my house is a good location for a hotspot. Here's my address, here's, like, my location, what do you guys think? So from that we can, like, start, like, getting possible locations, and we can start going through the locations to make sure they are good locations. And same with the installers. Maybe there are more people in that area who would like to participate as installers, because that's what we want to happen in, like, a actual publicly available pool. People in that local area coming forward saying, oh, I have the expertise to be a helium installer. How can I be part of it? So we kind of, like, start gathering those contacts and see whether the gathering of contacts, does that run smoothly? Are there enough people to do that? Or do we have to come up with a course, like Keith mentioned, of, like, making, like, a course for, like, these kind of, like, outdoor helium deployments? Do we have to do something like that to certify everyone up to a standard level of deployment of these hotspots? Then around, like, May, okay, getting some form of a development of token and token issuing mechanism. So that's where, like, depending on what kind of the chain we are using, what kind of the technology we are using, what's the specific wallet we are using, how we are going to tie up the smart contract. So those nitty gritty things, coming up with some form of like a MVP for them. Then late at May, securing the light hotspots and accessories, like, pirate radio, like the initial ship who's like, managing this test pool token with manufacturers, securing like, light hotspots to be a part of this test pool, and making sure the accessories are available for the test pool, getting all those logistical things set up, and knowing, okay, we have like, this many hotspots coming from this manufacturer, getting that things taken care of. And then we can actually start issuing light hotspots token for this test pool. We'll put it out there saying there's a test pool, there's the thing. We'll clearly mention like, this is a test pool, this is what we are doing, and people who wants to like contribute for that can actually get the token and be part of this. And then later in like, late June, tokens will be I have a mistake here. I have same thing repeating twice. Okay, it's actually this is like the time frame. Okay, my bad. But then after tokens are all set up and good, all the tokens are sold out, we have the hotspots, we have the accessories, we do the deployments with the installers. And then after 1 month of monitoring the system, okay, we get a status update. How is the pool doing? What's the status? What are the things that we have to improve on? Did all the deployments went well? Did we face any issues? Like, so those kind of things we can start talking with about those. And later, like after complete assessment of this deployed pool for like, several weeks, we can now think about what is the most feasible way to go for a public pools. What did we learn? What are the mistakes we made, and how can we scale this up? So by like, so this is a very optimistic assessment of a timeline up to August 20th. Okay, don't be surprised if this goes a little bit late. Okay, things can take them, but at the same time, what I want you guys to know is, we are not like, trying to make a quick kind of like, buck from this. We want to uh, make a framework that will effectively like, last for like, number of years. So I want to actually set up this with like, IoT integration as well. Even after like, POC reward diminish, the IoT data credits still can keep on these, pools flowing, like, so because of that, like, we are doing this for long term. Don't be discouraged by like, long time frames. I'm just like, trying to be realistic how we can actually like, doing these things. We can't just, speak things into existence within a short period of time. These things require reg work, and this is like a very optimistic timeline. So we will adjust this. Okay, this is a very tentative one, and we will make sure to keep the community update and get the feedback from the community to make sure we have everything in check.
Awesome. Thanks, DK.
Sure thing. So let me stop sharing. So this will be up on forum. Please feel free to go through them and give us feedback. That's what we need.
Cool beans.
Thanks. Thank you for that.
Sure thing.
Yeah, the one of their other questions I have, and I'll go to the forum and I'll write my questions in more detail. But back to the site selection, I was just curious if there's a process in mind for getting commitments from people that want to use a location. In terms of, is there some type of agreement that they sign? Is this a verbal? Is this just kind of what that looks like?
Really?
Yeah, Kid, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, really, there isn't yet. But that's one of the first questions we'll want to work towards solving. right? So or answering, because there's going to be a lot of different ways that we could approach exactly that question. Like our long-term approach is automation. So we're using data and data analysis to match locations and hosts in
Sure.
a smart automated way. But for the initial group, I think anyone who wants to be a part of that team to jump in and help offer a solution on how do we initially want to find those 50, I think would be really exciting. So I think it'll be part of the planning process is figuring that out. Like, okay, how are we
Yeah.
going to track those first 50? What about the actual location? All of that.
Yeah. No, that's exactly, determining the first 50 locations is one part of it. The second part is once you kind of determine 50, like if I say, all right, I want to host I want to host be a host site, like what's my commitment to you to say that I'm going to be dependable
So
in 3 months down the road whenever the actual hardware arrives, and I'm
yeah.
still kind of there.
So to be honest, so roughly, so that's a very good question. How can we secure the location? To be honest, we can send them like a signature thing, but if the location host change their mind, there's nothing really we can do. So what we can do is like this is what I'm thinking. We need 50 spots. Like we actually shoot for 75. Okay, we shoot for
Got it.
75. Yeah, by the time it comes, we see who's available, and then we actually deploy those things. So I know but it's kind of hard to we don't want to bind people to legal agreements. Like I don't think that's right. Yeah. Yeah, but
No, totally.
The location stake token should include some language in it that commits you to be like, oh, if I rage quit my location token, I have to give you 60 days notice. You know what I mean? Like so that you can
yes.
move it somewhere else. So
Yes.
I'm committing to give you my roof and my internet connectivity. If at any point I decide I want to leave, I will give you at least 30 days, 60 days, 90 days notice, whatever anyone can decide. But I think it's
Mhm.
fair to ask for some commitment up front.
Yeah, for that one, that's true. Once the hotspot is deployed at that location, definitely, because we are not trying to do just on the windowsill deployment. We are
Mm.
thinking about optimized deployment with enclosures, because that's how we maximize the rewards. So definitely, once a hotspot is at a location, now the location stakeholder will have a certain commitment, just any lease. Like if you are going to break the lease, you need to give a notice ahead. But for a person who showed express willingness to stake their location but haven't had gotten a hotspot, for them it's more liberal. Like if they thought today they said, oh, I want to do it, but next week they're like, oh no, I don't want to, that's fine. But the way we
Change
like exactly, yeah. But where we plan for that contingency is for 50 hotspots, we can actually get 75 locations. Like, why? More locations will never hurt us. That's the
No,
key thing.
no.
Yeah.
Guys, the carriers, they look for actually 10 to 20-year commits. So this is not an unknown thing for the locations. So I would suggest putting in a little bit of legality on it, just because it's not unknown in the business community. Because you're not necessarily going on people's houses like my house or your house kind of thing, but you're actually going to go with businesses. So at that point, it's all about legal.
Yeah. And that's definitely going to be a factor once we start doing the final.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm. Sorry about that, Jeremy. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from. I just again, uh, if I didn't, I was a little bit late joining the call, but yeah, that's have a commercial real estate background and have dealt with telecom leases before, so that's just kind of how I'm looking, a little bit down the road. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll definitely need your help, Gary, for sure.
Yeah. So the initial one, we like, are we going to go for big hitters for the initial one, tower installs and things like that? We kind of need to keep things simple, simple as it is for the test pool, just to at least get our heads around how the real world deployment is going to look like. So if we end up getting something like this, we will definitely pursue it. We will not back down from it. However, at the same time, are we only going after that? No, because there's one important thing. Remember, we are trying to help the local communities as well. Like, let's think about this. Are we only going to deploy these things on top of commercial buildings? No, we
Yeah,
want
municipal land.
exactly, yeah, we want people to have them, if us deploying our hotspot at a house helps that household to pay for their internet, that's actually part of our core commitment in our mission. So we kind of have to always remember that doing these things as well. So I know being too idealistic, yes, but at the same time it doesn't hurt to have those kind of commitments. That way we kind of help to enrich the local community.
For sure. It's an important thing to remember. Thanks, TK.
Sure thing.
I got to drop off, and
Yep.
I think
Good stuff.
you guys are welcome to carry on talking about mining pools. I just wanted to give you a quick update on there was some discussion last week about a location automatic discovery of good locations for things like 5G. I mentioned that I've got some contact with the folks who make Network Cell Info, a company called M2 Catalyst in California. I spoke with their CEO yesterday, and they're interested in partnering with us. Very new for them. They typically sell to like telcos around the world, and they're selling 20-seat access license and big numbers. So it's a very different thing talking to tens of thousands of people in the community. So, but very interested in working with us. Again, great engagement from the corporate world, which is fantastic to see. And we'll keep working on that on the council side. But yeah, that's looking like something that could be fantastically useful for the community and have real wide use cases and be a powerful tool for the DAO to grow, I think. So yeah, we're still moving on that one. And on that side, I got to drop off because I got another thing to get to, but you'll carry on. I'm just going to say goodbye for the week and ahoy, mateys. See you for now.
Oh,
Hi.
Later, Jar. Thank you.
Guys,
Ahoy.
for people in North America, I recommend signing up for Google SaaS if you can get it for free for CBRS. They have a network planner tool that does the same thing that he was just talking about, only for essentially just for America. But if you're deploying in America, I recommend getting yourself signed up if you can do it. If you can do it, and let me know. I'll help as much as I can.
Nice. That's awesome. I just pulled it up.
Perfect.
Yep.
Cool. Well, I just opened up the, I didn't, Jeremy opened up the mining pools Discord. It is called Mining Pool Protocol in the shipyards. And that's where the conversation for this project will continue as we develop. So that'll be the main sort of conversation hub for developing the MVP for this mining pool. If everyone's good with that.
Oh, and as a person, I actually am a CPI. So if you guys need to have CBRS deployed and you need a CPI, I'll be glad to help.
Yeah, where are you located?
I'm in Ohio. My company's in Texas. So yeah.
Nice, nice. I grew up in Michigan, so we were rivals there.
Oh, okay. So actually, I grew up in Muskegon, Michigan.
Nice, that's awesome. I know where Muskegon is. So I spent most of my childhood in White Cloud and Fremont, which is Fremont's
Oh,
what
sure.
15, 20
Yeah.
minutes from there.
Yeah,
Awesome, small world.
absolutely. So yeah, I'm here to help, guys. Just absolutely tap me if you need me. My expertise is there for you guys as much as you need.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I also have to jump. And sorry I was a little bit late joining, but I'm catching a flight. But nice to see you guys, and I'll follow back up on the Discord. But thanks a lot.
Perfect. Take care, man.
Awesome.
So any of the things related to because so the pools are like a big ticket item that we kind of want to get up and set up. I know the threshold for pools is kind of high, and it's not like something easy to deploy, but at the same time I think I believe at least like we have a reasonable working model for these kind of pools. So the main thing is we'll for the next week we'll gather all the information from the community. So that will be like everyone's turn to get a suggestion out into about this concept that we have. What do you think would not work, what do you think are the pitfalls that we kind of have to worry about? What do you think are the other entities that we may have overlooked? So look into those kind of things as well, and we will go through all of that and put together the final draft. So Keith is working on this with me at the same time. Dennis, Elmo, you guys might know him as Elmo from his Discord name. He's working on it as well. We are planning on doing a tokenomics analysis on this as well, up to roughly estimate like the gains within the first year, okay, second year and third year, so that way we can have like some rough projections, very conservative rough projections. Let me put that. Yeah, but definitely the feedback you guys have would be very helpful as well. Helios already actually gave me some very valuable feedback that I incorporated into this, as far as what the entities we kind of have to consider for this. Caleb, Griff, all of these guys actually gave their feedback to me, so I would love to actually get other feedback, because that's the whole point that we are trying to do, more community engage in this, better wholesome solutions we can come up with this, and hopefully in 6 to 7 months we can actually have one up and running, and that would be the first start of our journey to expand in this uh, decentralized wireless networks.
Love that, TK, and I'm definitely gonna add some notes from today. I think there's like a lot of little details and that I think can be easier to just write down on paper rather than discuss in the open forum right now. But
Mhm.
great job and great work for putting all that together in a visual medium. It's very helpful, and I think it's only going to get better and more concise. And yeah, looking forward to helping contribute if I can.
Perfect. Thanks, man. So, is there any other points of matter we have to go over? Anyone's suggestions? Anything? Okay, so if that's the case, I guess we'll adjourn for the week. And Griff, are you going to post this up later? Oh, Griff? Oh, maybe it's. I know either Griff or most likely Griff is recording this, so it
He
should be
said
up
he would.
later.
He said he
Oh,
would.
oh, he would. Okay, perfect. Thanks, man. Yeah, so we'll follow up next week as well. Look out for the link. Either Kate or myself gonna put on the general channel for the LoRaWAN poll, and we'll discuss more about that next week. And let us know if there's anything. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.